When I was a little bitty boy just off the floor, we used to go out to Grandma's house and plug so. Had chicken pie and country ham and homemade butter on the bread. But the first darn thing about Grandma's house was a great big feather bed. It was 9 feet high and 6 feet wide, soft as a downy chick. It made from the feathers of 411 geese, took a whole full of cloth for the tick. It held 8 kids, 4 hound dogs, the figure we stole from the shed. Didn't get much sleep, but we had a lot of fun on Grandma's feather bed.
Hello YouTubers. Well, after I was left on my own, after a little while, I decided I'd move out of the main bedroom, which was the nicest room in the house with a very nice view and very comfortable, but I didn't feel comfortable in it after a while, and I redecorated it and refurbished it and dedicated it to be a guest room, and I moved out into a smaller bedroom next door, which wasn't as nice, and only had a very narrow single bed and no view at all, and therefore I needed a new bed, and well, went and bought one. I mean, I still drive, and so I went to the nearest large town and chose a store where there was a car park next door, which is rather important since I can't really walk about very much, and found the place department where they sold beds, and oh my goodness, what a maze it was. Must have been years and years since I'd last bought a bed, and it all seemed very strange. There were beds that went up and down on electrical devices and things that were supposed to do something for your posture and all sorts of things, and of course the prices. Well, it's one of the failings of us old people that we always grumble about present day prices, which of course is quite stupid, because we think about the prices that they may have been 50 years ago, and we think they're still going to be the same, which of course is utterly ridiculous, because prices are only relevant according to the income that you have, and if say a motor car costs half a year's wages 50 years ago, it probably costs less than that now, so a lot of prices have gone down, and but nevertheless it's something that we do, and so therefore all the prices on these beds are hundreds of pounds. I felt I should abandon the idea and walk out, but a young man came to ask me if he could be of any assistance, and well, I really wondered why he wasn't at school at that time of the day, but he was a nice young man, and I said that I wanted to buy a new bed, and that I didn't want a double bed and I didn't want a single bed. I wanted something in between, and he seemed to understand that, and he led me to a bed which was called a 3/4 bed. So I thought, well, yeah, that's fine, I can thrash about in that, and that will go into the room okay. So it was quite a number of hundreds of pounds, and I said, oh well, that's fine, I'll have that then, and I can pay you by cheque or card, which would you prefer? And he said he didn't mind, and I expected him to take me to the desk to make out an invoice for me to settle the deal. And then he said, well, what about the mattress? And I said, well, you know, what about it? It looks all right to me. That'll do, thank you very much. And of course then he pointed out that you have to pay for the mattress in addition to the bed. Well, this was a surprise to me, all these hundreds of pounds. So what you have to know really is that I hate shopping, and it's sort of like a phobia, I think, and well, I don't know, maybe I need psychological counselling over the matter, but whenever I'm in a shop I have the greatest desire to get out again, and So I said, well, how much would that be? And he told me, and so I agreed, and the deal was done. And it has proved to be very satisfactory. It is a very comfortable bed. I sleep very well, and there really isn't a problem. And apparently in this mattress there are 1,040 some odd springs. So I thought, blimey, that's a hell of a lot of rust if that gets wet. And but the deal was done, the bed was delivered, and in fact I'm quite happy in my little room. But having done that, and now telling you about it, it reminded me of the beds we had when we were children, and they were feather beds. Now, if you haven't slept on a feather bed, you have not lived. I mean, basically, I suppose it's really just the same as lying on a duvet instead of underneath it. But it is a wonderful, delightful experience. But the beds we had were iron framed, and between these 4 rectangles of iron was a sort of a, well, I would say it was like wire netting. It wasn't wire netting because it was sprung. But over the years, of course, or over time, it sagged so that if there were 2 people in the bed, you rolled to the middle, which I suppose can have its uses and can be quite nice. But I slept with my brother. I can't really remember at what ages. My brother's 3.5 years older than me, so if I were 11 he would be in his 14s. And there was an occasion, and he denies that this happened, but it did happen, in that he threw me out of the bed, and I really don't know why. I suppose we were fighting, or he had his own reasons, but he threw me out of bed, and I crashed my head onto the corner of a marble washstand, and it was a fairly severe sort of blow and damage. And then, of course, it was decided by my parents that we should be split up, and I then was moved into a smaller room next door, and very much a repeat of the story I have just, the episode I have just told you about. Actually, I quite liked this room, partly because it faced onto the front of the house and I could see the people in the street, but it was nice to have my own room. I could have my gramophone in there, and I suppose it's very much like young people today, where they're surrounded with sort of music equipment, but mine was a wind-up gramophone, but of course I liked that very much. And the other thing that I remember very clearly was that the room was heated sometimes by a paraffin stove that was called a Valor. And the fascinating thing about that was that you let the heat out from the top with a sliding device that would open the holes to let the heat out, and you could adjust this to be fully open or half open or whatever you wanted, and it was a fascinating thing that the it showed the pattern on the ceiling. So there we are. It's just a repeat of what happened to me as a child. Happened to me again in later life. So I'll leave my little story there, and see you again very shortly. But until then, goodbye.
It was 9 feet high and 6 feet wide, soft as a downy chick. Ha! It made from the feathers of 4 11 geese, took a whole full of cloth for the tick. It old 8 kids, 4 hound dogs, the piggy we stole from the shed. Didn't get much sleep, but we had a lot of fun on ground.